I'm going to run through an introduction, some landmark advances I think that the dating industry has been through, the leaders and some interesting trends, and I'll run through some of the more diverse approaches to internet dating. So I run a consultancy called Courtland Brooks, and we help internet dating businesses grow. We've been around since 2005, and I've been in the business since 2000, 20 years in. That's Courtland Brooks. I also run the Internet Dating Excellence Association and OSCAR, the Online Social Community Association, which is fledgling in comparison. And the LTR is where we come together. LTR stands for Love Technology Relationships, and I like to think of it as TED for the dating industry. I also run Online Personals Watch. This is where you get the news on a daily basis. I do recommend subscribing to the daily email. That's the quickest way to get around the daily news. We actually include everything you need in the email. So what are the landmark advances with the internet dating industry? I'd say the very first thing, the precursor to internet dating were personals, flat, boring personals in newspapers. And as amusing as some of them could be, it was rather tedious because you had to search, you had to go through pages and reams of profiles to find the person who would be the right age, the right lifestyle, the right, bunch of stuff, religion, location, etc. And then you'd mail off, you'd send a letter off to a mailbox. How very tedious. So the very first thing that we really achieved was we improved search. For the first time, we allowed people to very quickly find what they were looking for: age range, location, lifestyle, religion, all the showstoppers. So actually one of the first was Web Personals in 1994. And then Match came along, and Matchmaker.com, and a few others. And then the next stage, the next thing that we really accomplished over flat, boring personals was we enabled people to communicate more easily. So you no longer had to send in, mail in a response to a newspaper ad. You could actually go online, email, essentially message, and then we had instant messaging. And now more recently, of course, we have video and many modes of communication and forms of communication. And this greatly enhances the offering and the value, the utility of what we provide. Now, the third area, which I am really most excited about, I think the area which is most fledgling and where we can add the most value really is compatibility. And I think the problem with compatibility right now is that we don't really know. I think the way Match does matchmaking is in compatibility, says that very clearly. Here's the way Match do it on Match.com, from what I understand. And that is Match. If you go on Match, then Match will look at people like you, similar preferences, profile, and they will look at who those people are connecting with. And then they will match you up with those people, assuming that the person just like you is making some good choices. And I think that's really interesting because they pay homage to the fact that we don't really know at this stage. And so they're admitting that, and they've bottled the matches from people just like you, essentially. So they're saying humans are indeed quite good at matching, and they're saying we don't really know. Others have used different approaches, like eHarmony some years ago. They're based on similarity. Dr. Neil Clark Warren was a clinical psychologist. And then remember Chemistry? So Chemistry is backed by Helen Fisher, still is. She did the personality profile on Chemistry, and it's kind of her philosophy and science behind it, essentially. And she's an anthropologist. And you might even remember Pepper Schwartz, who backed Perfect Match. She's a sociologist. I say, wouldn't it be great if they all talked? Wouldn't it be great, actually, if we let more academics look over our shoulders, do more tests, look into, design experiments where they can learn and advise us further? There is actually a sea of academics that would like to be able to do this sort of thing. Have a look at 0d8.com. And if you're at scale and would like to connect to some leading academics in the dating space, let me know. I'd love to connect you with them. They want access to our data. Their payoff for that is that they'll give us good information based on what they learn. Sure, it will end up in a journal in a year or two and be shared with more people, but that's a good thing overall. Leaders and trends in the industry I'm going to cover now, courtesy of Sensor Tower. Thank you so much, Sensor Tower, for this data and information. One key question that we all have is, how have we done during this crazy period? Is the industry up or not? Here is a graph of the quarterly US downloads of the top 25 dating apps on the App Store and Google Play. And the long and the short of it is, yes, there was a blip in activity in Q1 as the first lockdowns went into place. And overall, we can see that those top 25 dating apps are indeed up on the order of 3%. So, hey, it's gone up. And how are revenues in comparison? Let's look at the consumer spend across those top 25 dating apps from Sensor Tower data. 24% up. Not insignificant. I mean, that's quite amazing. So, and this was one of the things I was wondering initially, is like, you see the dip there, and I did think that, okay, we're seeing activity, but I bet people aren't spending quite as much. How about the age? Are these new people that we wouldn't normally have seen? Are they, coming online en masse? And what's the demo? Let's have a look at the demo. So overall, if we look at the growth in spend for the likes of Tinder, Bumble, Hinge, you can see here that Tinder's up quite nicely now, and Bumble is up significantly, and the secondary players to them are also all quite nicely up. Let's have a look at the average age. Now, this is very significant for us because we can see that the average age has gone down over the last year, and this is indicative of a younger demo coming online. The most hard to get to demo, really. The younger, the early 20s are skewing these numbers here for the first time. Very interesting. Thank you very much, Sensor Tower. Let's have a look at the quarterly US downloads for the top apps for finding friends, right? These are what I call friends-making apps, what is known in Asia as friends-making apps. We've got Yubo, Meet Me, and Tagged all doing quite well. And here we have, so the chatting app revenue, and you can see Meet Me is up very nicely here, along with, well, Scout, Yubo, Tagged, all doing very well. And the consumer spend across the top dating apps versus some of the chat apps, and you can see that it's quite comparable. It's in line. There are so many approaches to dating. I mean, it's definitely not a dull industry. Look at Dig, for example. Dig is for dog lovers, and BLK is for the black segment, which is doing extremely well for Match. Matrimony doing nicely in India. Then there's Field, which is for couples and singles. It's more diverse lifestyle. And Seeking Arrangement is, again, a totally different approach to dating. This is the sugar segment. How about Modamly? I'm quite fascinated with this particular property because this helps people connect who aren't necessarily interested in getting married. They are more interested in making a family first. That is their lead drive. And Modamly allows them to connect and have families, make kids. They're not alone. Pollen Tree does something similar. And even more recently, Hey Baby. What an interesting industry we're in. One of the ways I used to like to segment the industry is based on seriousness. And I thought, well, seriousness, how very dull. Who wants a serious relationship? People want meaningful relationships. So I renamed it Meaningful. But there's another element to what people want, and that is playful. So I thought this would be a nice way of really slicing and dicing the industry at this stage. If we look at Matrimony, they're not at all playful, but they are sure as heck meaningful. eHarmony, similarly, not quite as serious and meaningful as Matrimony. They're a bit more playful. They've got video these days. Hinge more so. Coffee Meets Bagel, maybe not quite as meaningful. They're probably on the order of Hinge, really. A bit more playful. They've got the kind of expiring bagel every day. OkCupid, definitely more playful, but skewing less meaningful. Tinder, of course, is more about fire and casual, and even more playful. They bill themselves as playing Tinder when they first seeded themselves into existence. Badoo, even more so. They're social discovery, social dating. Meet Me is interesting as a standout because of the video platform. It's just fun, and they've kind of focused on that element, and that's where I see them being quite different. Thank you very much.